Mario 64 is a classic. It's the first 3D Mario game, and I've never played it. I got the Super Mario 3D All-Stars when it came out, and played both Galaxy and Sunshine, but never got around to 64. So I wanted to pay my homage and make a challenge. I didn't know too much about the game besides a couple of speedruns and various other YouTube videos I'd watched, but I decided on a pacifist run. There are several bosses that would make it tough, but you only need 70 out of the 120 stars, so I figured I could probably get enough to beat the game. There's really only one rule: no killing any enemies. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm playing on Switch with the release that they had, as I don't have a Nintendo 64. Getting into the game, I started in the courtyard, met up with Lakitu, and then entered the castle. I was a little worried about the beginning, as every level is locked behind certain star requirements, and if I can't get enough stars from the first couple of levels, I could get softlocked very easily. The first level that I decided to tackle was Babom Battlefield, and it's a tricky one. The first star you're intended to get is the one locked behind King Babom, who you'd have to kill, and I can't do that. A lot of stars are locked in chronological order and can only be obtained after you get the previous one, so not being able to get the first one really hurts our chances. But in most levels, they'll have a star for the 8 red coins, 100 coins, and a secret star that doesn't have a story with it. While I can't get the red coins or 100 coins in this level, I can get the secret star. In this level, it's locked behind a cage, but by unleashing the Chain Chomp, he'll open the cage and I can go and grab it. Even though I can only get 1 star here, that's alright because I can unlock another door with that 1 star. Before we get too far into the video, if you're enjoying, then please subscribe. It would help me out a ton. Thank you. The next level I tackled was Whomp's Fortress. Like Babom Battlefield, the first star is you climbing to the top and killing the Whomp, and again, I can't do that. I first got the secret star by triple jumping and wall jumping to get on the secret platform where a star is hidden. Unlike Babom Battlefield, I am actually able to get the red coins on 100, but even though it's the second area, it's still rough. The game was designed many years ago, and I'm really not used to the controls, so I die constantly while collecting the red coins. 6 of the red coins are pretty straightforward. The only somewhat tricky one was the one hidden atop this thwomp, but the last 2 were a lot harder. They're located on these islands, and you can either backflip off the thwomp's head or long jump off the top. I usually decide to long jump off the top, as when I would backflip, I would often slide off their sloped heads or miss, which sometimes resulted in my death, and a lot of frustration. I had to adjust for the 180-degree camera rotation that happened in the middle of the jump, but it wasn't too hard. Then, I just had to jump between the platforms without falling off, which was a little harder than I first imagined. After getting all of the red coins, which are worth 2 normal coins, I was able to get the 100 coins. Every other star is unable to be obtained until after you kill King Whomp, so I had to move on to the next area. I opened a 3-star requirement door to Cool Mountain and started sliding. And I don't really want to talk about how many times I fell off because it's very embarrassing. I'm still not completely warmed up to this game, and it took a ton of attempts. Once I got to the bottom of the slide, I realized I had quite a bit of coins, and I decided to go for the 100 coin star and red coins now instead of waiting until later. Even outside of the house, this whole level is basically a big slide. You can go down the side of the mountain, but you can't climb back up. Once I got the star, I kind of forgot where it spawned and was constantly teleporting to the top and going back down to the bottom looking for it. Eventually, I got my eyes on it and performed a very tight long jump to acquire it. Unfortunately, after returning the penguin to his mother, I can't pick him up and drop him off the void. I mean, this is a challenge for a reason. The first couple of stars were pretty simple, but the 6th was a little harder. After using the cannon to reach the secret area, I faced a narrow path with 2 enemies. I first tried to jump over the enemy, but ended up landing on him and killing him. My rule for when I accidentally killed an enemy was to kill myself and then restart the stage. So I jumped off and had to go back. The next time, I instead tried to squeeze past him by hugging the wall, and thankfully there was just enough space. After that, I did some parkour and grabbed another star. Once you get 10 stars in Mario 64, a light starts shining down from the ceiling. If you look up at it, you get transported to a secret level where you unlock the wing cap. I'm not quite good enough at controlling this to get all the red coins, but at least I have it unlocked for later levels. Jolly Roger Bay is a completely water-based level. Since every other control in this game handles poorly, I figured that water would be a nightmare. But surprisingly, it wasn't that bad to control. I might just be getting more used to the game, but it felt kind of good. To open up the ship, I had to remove this eel somehow, but instead of killing it, I just had to get hit by it and then let it move out of the way. 100 coins is tricky on this level, as there are very few to collect and almost requires you to kill enemies for coins. I was almost at 100 coins when I went into this cave and missed 2 of the blue coins, so I had to restart the whole level again and collect all of the coins all over. The next time, I was a little more careful. There was one more somewhat debatable star of grabbing it off the eel's tail, but clearly I didn't kill it. I got the red coins in the aquarium, and although it took several tries, I managed to get both of the stars on Peach's slide. After that, I had my first Bowser stage. I decided to get the red coins as I played since they're right there, but it made it so much harder. I had to do precise parkour or go out of my way, which increased my risk of dying and starting all over. This one Goomba was awful. I can't kill him, and he'd chase me off the platform or knock me to my death almost every time I encountered him. I ended up collecting all of the coins and getting the star right before the Bowser fight, which, compared to the level before it, was ridiculously easy. You only have to throw him onto one bomb and he's done. You might think that we're killing him here, but in his dialogue he says that he'll be back later before teleporting away, so it really doesn't seem like we're killing anyone here. After the Bowser fight, I got the keys to the basement and my first stop was the Vanish Cap room, which I found out is great for farming lives. You can get 3 in the very beginning, and if you fall off at the end, it doesn't count as a death, meaning you get a lot of extra lives. So we're just gonna say that I was farming lives for later and I don't suck. Even though the platforming was hard, I got a ton of extra lives, the Vanish Cap, and a star for my troubles. Immediately after, I entered Hazy Maze Cave where I found the last power-up, Metal Mario. I had to weave my way through enemies as I instantly killed anything I touched, but becoming the Man of Steel let us collect some red coins and get another star. Throughout the game, there are a couple of toads that have gotten their hands on stars, and one of them is hiding in the corner of this room, so I talked to her for another easy star. The next star I got required me to ground pound Plussy and climb on her head. And there's no rule against harming anyone, you just can't kill them. I used this 4-arrow platform, which was one of the worst experiences of my life, and then headed back to previous levels for some easy stars. I flew up to the island with a wing cap to get a star, and then used Metal Mario and Jolly Roger Bay to get a star there. Now that I have 30 stars, I decided to go to Bowser and face Dire Docks. Since it's a water level, there aren't many enemies, and after a long arduous swim, I boarded the sub for a star. After getting that star, I got access to Bowser in the Fire Sea. And like every other fire level, is terrible. Almost all of the platforms dip or rotate into the lava, so you're constantly on your toes trying not to get burned. There was also this one red coin that required you to drop back down to a previous part in the level. Sometimes this ended fine, but a lot of the time I would land on a Goomba or get bodied by a bully. Then there was this section, with 6 platforms that sank all the way into the lava except for one tiny smidge. There's also fire, and these stunning electric balls, and I have to get a red coin. By being careful, I managed to get it second try. After getting the star for red coins, it was time for Bowser again. Like the first fight, you only have to damage him once. He teleports around and shakes the stage up to be annoying, but once I grabbed his tail, it was all over. This time when you kill him, he says, "Next time I'll be in perfect condition, and come to the top of the tower, I'll be waiting." How could a dead man be waiting at the top of the tower in a better condition than ever? He couldn't. I got 4 more stars in Dire Docks before leaving. None were too interesting as they just required some pole jumping, vanish capping, and Metal Marioing. In shifting Sandland, I ran into a conundrum. This bomb noticed me, ran at me, and blew up. And I'm gonna say this is okay. One, because if I didn't, it would make my life a living hell, but also, if someone runs at you with a bomb and blows it up, how are you responsible? Anyway, I don't really like this level, so after getting 1 star, I left, as I can always come back if I need more later. Lethal Lava Land's first objective is to boil the big bully, which I obviously can't do. Instead, I solved a puzzle, wrote a log, and did some of the most stressful parkour of my life while being in an active volcano. After finishing Lethal Lava Land, I decided to go to the opposite, Wet Dry World. Wet Dry World is a really cool level that allows you to change the water level to get different stars. I was able to cheese the first one by blindly ground pounding and opening a star box, but there's also not much to kill in this level. Most of the enemies are unkillable and chuck you around. I did have to be very careful with the water skeeters, but that's about it. I was able to get all of the stars here, no problem. I got another star from Toad before entering Snowman's Land, and oh my goodness. You can't kill the big snowman, but if you could, it wouldn't be a pacifist run. This would be a kill the snowman as quickly and violently as possible run because he sucks. The first star has you climbing up this ice path where he tries to blow you off. You have to walk in front of this penguin who moves super erratically, and if you mess up, he blows you all the way to the beginning where there are enemies that you can land on. Sounds like fun, doesn't it? None of the other stars are too interesting. One of them has you fight a bully, which I can't do, and the others are just ice mazes and red coins. Tall Mountain is up next, and there are Goombas and Monty Moles galore. It's painful to platform around them, and just in general. This one section with mushrooms was extremely infuriating to fail at over and over again. One of the only stars that wasn't annoying, and instead was pretty cool, was this one behind the waterfall that I managed to get like this. Before heading onto the third floor, I wanted to get a couple more stars. I revisited Babom Battlefield again and had the most painful 100 coin level of my life. There are many Goombas in this level that you're supposed to kill for coins, but there are these rings of coins in the sky that you can collect to avoid that. You're supposed to use this cannon, but I can't unlock that until after I defeat King Babom, so instead I had to do it with a wing cap. I'm really bad at controlling it, and it took me more than 20 minutes to get this star and the red coins. I visited the pyramid and shifting Sandland for some easy platforming stars and then entered Tik Tok Clock. Besides 2 bombs at the start, there aren't any killable enemies in this level, so there was just platforming. And I've improved exponentially since the start of the game. Rainbow Ride was pretty similar. There were some Shy Guys and Goombas that I had to be a little careful around, but the game seems to realize that enemies aren't too hard, and they just need to throw more difficult platforming at us. The final Bowser stage is unfortunately filled with enemies. They bring back a ton of old ones to try and stop you. They throw Goombas, Piranha Plants, and even a Womp that you can either run under or climb on top of to a get around. And then there's the final fight. I avoided shockwaves and flames while throwing Bowser once, twice, and then 3 times to finish the fight. He talks again about getting together with his troops and watching the end, so clearly he's not dead. We've just chased him away and allowed ourselves to get a killless victory in Mario 64. If you enjoyed the video, then make sure to subscribe, like, and maybe even leave a comment. Thank you for watching, and until next time, have a great day.